Elon Musk stared at the screen. The numbers didn't make sense. They weren't supposed to. He scrolled down, then stopped. Born, January 3rd, 1899. Status, active. Born, June 21st, 1902. Status, receiving benefits. Line after line. Thousands of them. He ran the query. 12,314,762. Dead Americans. Still getting paid. He sat back. Did the math in his head. The average Social Security payment? Roughly $1,900 a month. Multiply that by 12.3 million. Over $23 billion a month. To people who, biologically, should be dust. At first he thought it was a joke, or a test record, or a bad import. But the timestamps were clean. The bank transfers active. The metadata led to a contract hub in Alexandria, Virginia. Federal subcontractor, legacy infrastructure, USAID involvement. He knew that name. USAID, where aid money was supposedly shipped overseas to help the world's most vulnerable, but none of it left the country. None of it ever did. He called Kash Patel. They met in person. Underground level. No phones, no echoes. Kash didn't ask for context. He knew why Elon called. "You found the graveyard," Kash said. Elon nodded. 12 million people. Some born in the 1800s. All alive. All drawing checks. "They're not alive," Kash said. "They're tools." Elon leaned forward. "Who's behind it?" Kash didn't blink. "Ask yourself who's been screaming about protecting entitlement programs from corporate dismantling for the last 20 years. Elon exhaled. "Bernie Sanders." Kash pulled out a folder. Paper. Analog. Inside. Whistleblower testimony. Handwritten. A line underlined in red ink. The senator said, "Keep the optics clean. Don't spook the base, but keep the files alive." Elon read it twice. This wasn't random fraud. This wasn't a fluke. This was designed. He went back to the data, cross-checked recipient accounts with PAC donor rolls, flagged multiple overlaps. Same names, same addresses, same fund routing. The deeper he went, the tighter the circle got. And at the center, a bundle of nonprofits clustered on Belmont Street, just blocks from Bernie Sanders' old campaign HQ. Each listed under Community Equity Initiatives. Each tied to dormant social programs in Central America, North Africa, and Southeast Asia. Programs that never built clinics, never delivered medicine, never hired locals. But they filed receipts, and those receipts got approved. The kicker? Most of the money stayed in DC consulting fees. Training materials, digital literacy workshops that never left Georgetown. Elon stared at one grant marked closed. Recipient, Bridge Forward Equity Solutions. Award, $7.8 million. Purpose, empowering LGBT plus digital inclusion in post-conflict zones. Result, zero documentation, zero contact, no website. He traced the tax record. The organization's founding treasurer? Bernard Sanders, the third nephew. Full-time advocacy consultant. Elon froze. This wasn't ideology. This was a business model, built on corpses, sustained by silence. He crafted a tweet, just 12 words. 12.3 million dead Americans, still collecting, and Bernie says it's compassion. He didn't post it, not yet. He looked out the window. Somewhere in DC, someone was waiting for him to blink. 3 days later, Elon posted it. No hashtags, no threads, just 12 words. 12.3 million dead Americans, still collecting, and Bernie says it's compassion. 17 million views in 6 hours, 39 million by nightfall, and not a single story from CNN, not a word on NPR, not even a rebuttal, only silence, the kind of silence that screams they're scrambling. Behind the scenes, someone pulled a wire. His access to internal grant records revoked. His legal team served with 2 notices, National Interest Review and Foreign Interference Inquiry. And that was just the first wave. Starlink servers in DC experienced sudden maintenance issues. 12 of his tweets were flagged for context checks. One disappeared completely. No explanation. No appeal. Then came the headlines. Not about the dead files. Not about the missing billions. About Elon. Billionaire bullies government with stolen data. Is Musk pushing far-right narratives in the name of transparency? From SpaceX to saboteur, Elon's obsession with DC, they painted him as the villain, as the egomaniac, as the threat. But they never touched the numbers. They couldn't. Kash Patel called him. They're deleting logs, Elon set up. What kind? Everything under Bernie's 2016 initiative umbrella, grant data, vendor lists, internal notes. How do you know? I've got a shadow tap on the mirror cluster. They think they're wiping. I'm recording. He pulled up the feed, file after file, time-stamped, then erased. Not archived, not flagged, just gone. Millions in payments, entire nonprofits vanishing in seconds, a quiet genocide of paperwork. But Elon had backups, and something better. One log they forgot to wipe. It showed a $9.2 million grant cycle split across 4 dummy organizations, each listed with a different name, each registered under the same tax ID, each funneled through a shell company headquartered at a consulting firm tied to Bernie's 2020 campaign. Same firm that handled progressive compliance strategy. Same firm that filed paperwork for over 24 advocacy microgrants. He drafted a follow-up post, didn't launch it. Instead, he called his lawyer. If I drop this, Elon said, they'll hit harder. They already are, she replied. The next morning, Homeland Security filed a non-specific threat alert tied to data weaponization. Elon wasn't named, but he didn't have to be. The alert ended with one sentence. Digital actors with access to classified grant systems present unprecedented risks to national stability. Translation, he'd struck a nerve. Still, he didn't back down. He posted the screenshot, just one. 4 grant IDs, same payout, same tax route, same lobby firm. Caption, dead money, 1 signature, 1 man at the center. He didn't say Bernie's name. He didn't have to. Within hours, the subpoenas started. From 3 states, 2 committees, 1 federal bureau, all targeting him. Not the funds, not the fraud, not the dead. Just the man who dared to say it out loud. The game was clear now. They weren't trying to refute him. They were trying to bury him beneath the paperwork he exposed. But he wasn't finished. Because the deeper he went, the clearer it got. Bernie wasn't protecting a system. He was building it. At 7:12 p.m., Elon went live. No intro music, no graphics, just a black screen. Then his face. He looked straight into the lens. There's a list, he said. A long one. Then he showed it. A single spreadsheet. Raw, unfiltered, ugly. 12 million names, 12 million checks. No signatures, no verification, no expiration. He scrolled through them on screen, page after page. Next to each, date of birth, date of death, payment active. Then he said it. Slow, clear, measured. This isn't an oversight. This is infrastructure. The chat exploded. Tens of thousands watching live. Millions more within the hour. Is this real? How long has this been happening? Who approved these payments? Elon didn't answer. He let the data speak, and it screamed. Then he showed the second tab. Grants linked to the same Social Security accounts, supposed humanitarian programs, same vendor clusters, same addresses, same zip codes. He hovered his cursor over a grant listed in 2019, $9.1 million for community resilience training, routed through a firm called Redstone Horizons. He clicked open the record. Owner, Daria Cohen. Known PAC manager. Senior advisor, Bernie 2020. Elon closed the file, looked back at the camera. Not one clinic, not one shelter, not one job created. Just empty slogans and full bank accounts. He didn't raise his voice, but he didn't have to. That night, the backlash broke open. Fox aired the full stream. Tucker Carlson reposted it. Even legacy outlets flinched. Politico ran a late-night headline. Sanders-affiliated groups under scrutiny after explosive Musk data leak. A crack, not a collapse. But it was the first one. Inside D.C., meetings ran past midnight. Bernie wasn't on camera, but he was moving, calling favors, issuing talking points, deploying his old machine. The goal? Reframe the narrative. Make it about Musk. Make it about privacy. Make it about tech bros hijacking democracy. But America saw the list, the real one. Dead people, empty nonprofits, piles of money stacked behind fake names and fake causes. At 2:43 a.m., a burner message hit Kash Patel's encrypted line. 5 words. He cracked the first lock. By sunrise, new subpoenas were flying. Not for Elon, for Sanders-affiliated firms. 3 were shuttered by noon. 2 scrubbed their websites. 1 filed for bankruptcy. Damage control had begun. But the damage was already done. The public had seen it. The press couldn't unsee it. And Bernie? He stayed quiet. Too quiet. Because he knew. The next file was worse. The hearing room was full. Cameras in every corner. Microphones clipped to every suit. 3 witnesses under oath. But the one not in the room controlled it all. Bernie Sanders. He wasn't scheduled to appear, but his fingerprints were everywhere. The firms, the grants, the language. Every audit trail led back to his orbit, and now everyone in D.C. knew it. First witness, former program officer from USAID. She adjusted her glasses, cleared her throat, and looked straight ahead. I was instructed, she said, to file expense reports for projects that never launched. Who instructed you? The chairman asked. She hesitated, then said it. Sanders's liaison office, indirectly, through advisory staff. Silence in the chamber. She continued. They told us, keep funds in circulation, recertify what's been allocated, don't break the cycle. What cycle? She answered without blinking. The loop. Elon watched from Texas. He knew that word. He'd written it himself, posted it, broadcast it, but hearing it in Congress, it hit different. The second witness spoke next, a whistleblower from a DC-based development group called Bridgepath International. He didn't hide. I processed 27 separate grants, all under $5 million each, all routed through layered vendors. Where did the money go? A lawmaker asked. He smiled bitter. Mostly to management fees, consultant retainers, staff retreats. And the foreign aid projects? He laughed. There weren't any. He held up one slide. $42 million for climate resilience infrastructure in Uganda. Photos attached showed the exact same site, untouched, unfunded, and unchanged since 2015. No buildings, no workers, no trace of impact, just a sign, painted with the U.S. flag and the name Unity Forward Africa. Kash Patel sent Elon a message. Unity Forward is a known alias. It's been used under 6 names, all tied to the same office. Elon opened the address. 1918 Belmont Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., top floor. Same suite as a political advocacy firm registered under Sanders' 2020 campaign operation. This wasn't sloppy. It was surgical. Small grants, hidden in volume, filed just below oversight thresholds, and always processed by people connected to Bernie's machine. Campaigners, family members, former speechwriters turned policy consultants. Outside the hearing, public pressure built. Small-town radio hosts started reading line items live on air. Local papers ran front-page stories. Dollars meant for development never leave the district. And every night, a different American asked the same question. Where's my tax money actually going? Back in Congress, one lawmaker read from a leaked email. Push funds through at year-end. Use community equity or resilience to mask reallocations. If flagged, redirect to cultural outreach. He held up the printout, signed by a senior official at Bright World Outreach, former chief of staff to Senator Bernie Sanders. No one interrupted, no one objected, because everyone knew, and no one wanted to be first to say it. That night, Elon posted one word, orbit. Caption, they don't take the money. They rotate it. The post reached 58 million views in 10 hours. At 3:41 a.m., DHS flagged the hearing transcript for sensitive content review. At 4:12 a.m., two witnesses were placed under protective watch. By 5 a.m., the video replay was removed from three major platforms due to copyright restrictions. But it was too late. The system hadn't leaked. It bled. Bernie Sanders stepped into the studio. MSNBC, primetime. Makeup on, lights tight, voice calm. He sat down like he wasn't under siege. Like he hadn't just been linked to a multi-billion-dollar political laundromat. He opened with righteousness. These attacks, he said, are a direct assault on our global values. He spoke about justice, about poverty, about climate, equality, and international solidarity. He never mentioned grants, never mentioned shell firms, never touched the numbers, but he looked straight into the camera. And to the billionaires trying to dismantle decades of humanitarian work, we will not be intimidated. Elon didn't blink. He posted again. This time, a diagram. The loop. At the center, a single name, Bernard Sanders. Around him, a ring of nonprofits, political committees, consulting groups, advisory boards. Everyone linked through shared addresses, shared EINs, or shared staff. He captioned it, "It doesn't end with him, but it begins there." The Sanders camp responded in minutes. Press release. 4 paragraphs. All denial. No facts. No data. No counterpoints. Just one message. This is a conspiracy theory manufactured by a reckless tech oligarch. Meanwhile, the data kept coming. One whistleblower leaked an internal audit from 2018. 26 grants approved in a single week. All under 10 million. All for education equity. All routed through 3 addresses in D.C., all tied to known political bundlers from the Sanders 2016 campaign. Kash Patel fed Elon another document, a memo from a 2019 strategy retreat, confidential, internal, signed by 4 staffers. Rotate projects by election cycle. Use cross-party language to avoid spotlight. Bernie should focus on narrative control. We'll handle dispersals. Elon read it twice. "They're laundering votes," he muttered. "With our money." Then came the tipping point, a second video leak. Secret recording, taken from inside a global equity summit. A panel speaker laughed. "As long as you slap a rainbow on it, no one asks where the check goes." Audience laughs. Bernie's face appears on screen behind them. Labeled, "Keynote Speaker, Day 2. The public shifted. Hashtags flipped. TUS, protect the whistleblowers. G, audit, Bernie. G, where did it go?" On Capitol Hill, nervous staffers started asking questions. Behind closed doors, donors pulled calls. Elon posted again. This time it was personal. A scanned document. Bernie's signature. March 12, 2017. Approving a $14.2 million disbursement to Northlight Global, a nonprofit with no track record, no filings, and no verifiable projects. The only listed employee? Bernie's former campaign treasurer. CNN stayed quiet, but a CBS anchor broke ranks. "I don't know what's worse, that this happened or that everyone's pretending it didn't." Late that night, a burner phone lit up in Cash's drawer. One line. "If he drops the last file, it burns the whole foundation?" Cash sent one back. "Then we light it." It dropped at 6 p.m. sharp. One file, no commentary, no caption, just the name. Project's final, undispersed log.pdf. It was a list, straight from inside USAID's core database. 289 grants, totaling $1.7 billion, all marked as complete, all marked as impact delivered, all marked as no disbursement necessary. Translation? The money never left. And yet the paperwork said it did. The sign-offs were real. The impact reports manufactured. Everyone tied to a firm with direct financial links to Bernie Sanders' political infrastructure. It was unspinnable. No amount of talking points could erase it. Cable hosts stared blankly at screens. Producers whispered behind cameras. One anchor said what millions were thinking. He wasn't protecting the system. He was the system inside Bernie's office. Staff scrambled. 2 phones rang nonstop. Donors were panicking. Senate allies were silent. Progressive coalitions went dark. Then came the move. The Department of Justice filed a national interference investigation. Target, Elon Musk. Charge, public release of manipulated federal records for the purpose of political destabilization. A new label, not treason, not theft. Destabilization. They were inventing the crime to match the threat. Bernie Sanders called a press conference. He didn't deny the signatures. He didn't dispute the firms. He reframed it. This is a targeted assault against democratic programs meant to uplift the world's most vulnerable. He called Elon a digital fascist, called the leaks Russian-adjacent propaganda, then walked off stage. No questions. Elon was ready. He posted a short clip, a voice recording, dated 2018. Location, Policy Strategy Session, Capitol Building, Room 312. A man speaks, clear, slow, practiced. Bernie Sanders. As long as the money cycles through legal conduits, it's untouchable. The optics are humanitarian. The results are irrelevant. Silence, then applause. The flood hit fast. 4 more recordings, one showing internal instructions to rename failed programs and repackage under equity language. Another mapping backroom deals involving preferred vendors linked to PAC bundlers. It was the kill shot, but no arrests came, no charges, no apologies, no press briefings from the White House, just silence. In the streets, protesters surged, not against Musk, against Washington. Signs read, "Cut the check or cut the mic. Audit every damn dollar." Bernie built the loop. Congress convened an emergency ethics session. Cameras off, doors locked, transcripts marked sealed. But one line leaked. "If we let this unravel, it drags half this chamber down with it." Cash called Elon. "They're not fighting back." "They're fortifying," Elon replied. He looked out the window. Quiet night, calm sky, but the ground was shifting. At 2:14 a.m., a final message appeared in the inbox of every major news editor. Subject line, "What's coming makes this look like a warm-up." Sender, unknown. Attachment, none. Signature, Department of Government Efficiency. The machine had been exposed, but it wasn't dead. Not yet. Elon Musk sat alone at the witness table. The Senate hearing chamber was full, packed with cameras, staffers, lawyers, and the very same men who once signed the checks. The placard in front of him read, "Elon Musk subject, unauthorized disclosure of federal data." The irony? He was the only one in the room not hiding anything. A senator leaned in. "You published classified grant records without clearance. Do you deny that?" Elon looked him dead in the eye. "I published theft." The senator straightened up. "I'll remind you, Mr. Musk, you are under oath." "So are you," Elon said, "and you signed off on 8 of those grants." The room froze. A few heads turned. A few staffers typed faster. This wasn't a hearing. It was retaliation. They couldn't jail him for being right. So they tried to make right illegal. They labeled it digital trespassing, system disruption, reputational sabotage. They called the truth a crime because they couldn't survive its consequences. Outside the chamber, protests grew. Thousands of Americans lined the Capitol steps. Some wore gas masks, some held signs. "This is our money. Tell the truth or get out." Bernie built the loop. Bernie Sanders watched it all from a secure room upstairs. He wasn't at the hearing. He didn't need to be. He already wrote the script. At 10:47 a.m., the DOJ filed a formal brief. Elon Musk was now under investigation for violation of digital data containment protocols, malicious interference with interagency fiscal structures, exposure of sensitive humanitarian security programs. It was garbage. But the language was careful, crafted, tested. They weren't trying to win a case. They were building a pretext. Kash Patel sent a single message to Elon's encrypted line. "They've switched from denial to defense." Elon replied, "Good, that means they believe the threat is real." Inside the hearing, another senator spoke up. "Mr. Musk, are you aware that your actions could lead to the destabilization of foreign alliances?" Elon didn't blink. "Number. But I'm aware that pretending we gave them aid when we didn't already has." The senator shifted in his chair. "This isn't about you," he said. "It never was," Elon answered. "It's about $1.7 billion that never left Washington." The chairwoman leaned forward. "This hearing is not about Bernie Sanders. It's about you." Elon shook his head. It's about all of you. You built a fortress of fake charities. You called them equity. You called them aid. You called them hope. He paused. But they were just checkbooks with slogans. The room exploded. Senators shouted. Microphones cut. The feed delayed. But the crowd outside heard it anyway. The clip went viral in real time. Millions watching on phones, laptops, TVs. Elon didn't smile, didn't flinch. He leaned back in his chair and said one last thing before they cut his mic. "If telling the truth is illegal, then we're already past democracy." The hearing resumed, but something had changed. The senators looked rattled. The tone shifted. The script wasn't working. People weren't buying it anymore. Not outside, not online, not even in the building. Kash Patel sent Elon a secure package. It was audio, 1 hour long, pulled from a microphone hidden behind a speaker podium. The source? A Sanders Impact Strategy Roundtable, recorded 9 months before the scandal broke. Elon hit play. The first voice belonged to an operations chief. "Bundle the new initiatives under old EINs, less friction." Second voice, unmistakable. Bernie Sanders. "You want continuity, not audits. Continuity sounds like compassion. Audits sound like failure." Then silence. Then laughter. Elon clipped the segment, posted it to X, captioned, "Compassion doesn't require shell companies." Within an hour, it hit 40 million views. 3 senators canceled interviews. 2 PSCs paused fundraising. Inside the hearing, the chair tried to pivot. "Mr. Musk, regardless of the evidence, the method of acquisition violates protocol." Elon leaned in. "Your protocol funded ghost clinics. I'll live with breaking it." The chair fired back. "You're not the law here." "No," Elon said, "but apparently neither are you." Then came the twist. One of the panelists, Senator Mallory, broke ranks. She held up a page, an internal grant memo, stamped "Do Not Distribute," signed by a known Sanders aide. It read, "Keep cycles short. If questioned, cite equity doctrine and reclassify under cultural exchange." She set it down. "I voted for these programs," she said. "I believed in them." She looked around the room. "But I never knew this." Silence. The stream exploded. Comment sections flooded. "She just flipped. They're turning on him. Burn it down." Back in the room, the pressure grew. Another panelist called for a temporary audit freeze. Then another. The chair tried to shut it down. "We don't have the authority," but Elon cut in. "You had the authority to spend. You have the authority to stop." Outside, the crowd tripled. Now they weren't holding signs. They were reading spreadsheets. They came with receipts, wearing shirts with grant IDs, chanting dollar amounts. 4.3 million to nowhere, 7.9 million to a storage unit, 11 million for the loop. Inside, a final moment landed. Elon took the mic one more time. "Your defense is that the money didn't go to you directly, but you designed the pipe, you built the funnel, you protected the flow." He paused. "You called it justice, you called it aid, but what it really was control." He looked each one of them in the eye. "And you used the law not to protect the people, but to protect yourselves from the people." The room didn't breathe. No questions, no closing statements, just the sound of power slipping, and somewhere, watching in silence, Bernie Sanders stood still, hands behind his back. No smile, just calculation, because he knew. They hadn't stopped him. They'd only made him visible. At 11 p.m., Elon went silent. No posts, no live streams, no press, just a message to Kash. "Ready?" Kash replied. "Light it." The file went live 30 seconds later. FEDLOGROOT-final.json 2.6 million entries, straight from the server core, untagged, unfiltered, unedited. It broke the system. Every grant, every signature, every routing code, included, and highlighted in red, manual override entries, over 500, each marked approved outside standard protocol, each flagged no secondary review, each bearing a 5-letter author code, SANDR, Bernie's initials, his staff's override tag, buried deep, hard-coded, never meant to be seen. The implications were nuclear. It meant he didn't just support the system, he overrode it. Manually, repeatedly, news outlets cracked. Even the most loyal broke formation. NBC ran a late-night bulletin. Sanders tied to direct grant overrides. Internal log leak confirms involvement. NPR issued a correction to a prior article. The title changed from Elon Musk pushes disinfo campaign to Musk's leak raises new questions about federal oversight. At 2:14 a.m., the Supreme Court received a petition. 3 states filed emergency motion to halt all discretionary grants, citing structural breach of fiduciary integrity. By 4 a.m., it was granted. All disbursements paused nationwide. Bernie didn't speak, didn't tweet, didn't issue a statement, but his comms director resigned. His chief policy aide deleted her accounts, and 4 advocacy groups tied to his passé shut their doors. Inside the Department of Justice, something shifted. An internal review opened. The label, involuntary strategic complicity. Translation? They'd been caught helping. Outside, the protests didn't die down. They evolved. People brought laptops, printed documents, screenshots. Audit circles popped up across towns, neighborhoods, churches. Americans weren't waiting for justice anymore. They were doing it themselves. But Elon knew something they didn't. This wasn't over. It wasn't even halfway. Because in Washington, rot doesn't run. It recalculates. And he could feel it. Behind the silence, the retraction, the pause. The recalculation had already begun. At 5:01 a.m., a memo leaked, dated, stamped, internal use only, from a classified DHS policy unit. Post-Musk framework. If public visibility exceeds 60%, shift to reframing phase. Target, redefine exposure as weaponized instability. Prepare legal groundwork for national platform moderation. The document ended with a chilling note. Transparency is now the threat vector. Elon closed his laptop. The air was still. Not quiet, just waiting. He turned to Cash. We took the shield. Cash nodded. And now? Elon stared out the window. They'll try to rebuild it, but this time we name every nail. No side had won, not yet, but the tremors were building.